Hello, Own Soldier 86 here. Welcome back to this tutorial on how to import our level into Blender. And I realized that last video there was a lot of information. It went very fast. So remember to take some time to go back and review some of the steps in case it goes by so quickly that you're a little lost. And I realize introducing a new program and a bunch of steps involved with that program can be a little intimidating, but just take it one step at a time. If you're looking at a screen with your level on it that looks something like this, you did the right thing. And what we're going to do now, this is a little bit more advanced, but I feel like it's completely necessary because what we're going to do is we're going to try to clean up our level a little bit. Remember in Google SketchUp on the back side of the level, we had all these white squares, and we left those white because we wanted to lower the amount of geometry that the program needs to draw in order to make the program run in the Nintendo 64. Remember, the more squares, the more boxes, the more anything that we have in the level, the more taxing it is on the CPU for the Nintendo 64. So what we're going to do is we're going to find any of the faces that are default white from Google SketchUp, and we're going to delete them. And the way we're going to do that is if we take this little bar here, when it opened, that bar was defaulted to somewhere over here. You can drag this out. And then there's another bar over here that you can drag down. And this is a list of all the components and all the materials that are used in the level. Now you can see what we did here is if we select on these one at a time, they are labeled as material 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, etc. And they are referring to the different materials that are used in the level. In other words, the textures. And the way Google SketchUp works is that as you export to the OBJ, it turns those texture labels from wall or platform or floor into material with a number. And what we are looking for is we're looking for any materials that are labeled default material. And I prefer to do this actually in Blender because it does go faster. If you can see from my list here, we have quite a few default materials, and we can delete these. And what we're going to be looking at as well is at the top here, we have a bunch of labels of information. For instance, verts, there's a number. Faces, there's a number. Tries, there's a number. And objects, there's a number. And what we want to do is we want to try to lessen that number as much as possible. So you can follow along with me as I do this. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to right-click on anything that's labeled default material, and we get an option to, we get an option to delete. This is also indicated by underline E, which allows us to hit the E key to quick delete. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And what you'll start seeing, and I have this on the back face here so that you can kind of watch as we delete these default materials, you start eliminating these white squares. So let's click on the next one. Right-click, E, right-click, E, right-click, E. As I'm doing this, if you bring your attention to the top here, we also see some of the faces and tries and verts start going down as well. Because like I said, it's drawing less materials for the level. And remember, the characters in the game are never going to see these materials anyway. So as we delete them, we start kind of cleaning up the level. And there it is. We've gotten rid of all of the white squares. We are left with only materials that we want to be seen by the characters. And if you bring your attention back up here, we've eliminated quite a bit of number of materials, of faces and tries, which of course are the most important in relation to how many objects need to be drawn in this level for the level to look the way it does. And I won't bother you with the details of why that is and what it does, but just trust me that the less number you have up here, the better the program will run, the better the level will run, especially when considering that if we have 4 players in the same room, it's going to be extremely taxing on the N64, and you're going to run into issues with lower frame rates if this number gets into the anywhere beyond 200, 300, 400. One of my levels was closer to 500 in the beginning, and it barely chugged along. So you want to try to eliminate those as much as you possibly can. Okay, in the next stage, we will talk about the next step of what we're going to do with this list.